After he developed a self-powering car, yes, a car that runs without fuel, petrol, gas, or even a charging station, the future of cars is already here, and it has no battery, no fuel, and no charging station. It runs entirely on invisible energy in the air around us, just pure radio waves. Sounds impossible? Elon thought so too at first, but Zimbabwe just proved it works. Meet Maxwell Chikumbutso. He built the world's first self-powered car. But this isn't just about one inventor. This is the start of an African revolution that could shift the global automotive landscape forever. So what does this mean for Elon Musk and every big EV manufacturer? This is a direct challenge to everything the EV market is right now: the Supercharger network, the global push for lithium batteries, and the future of clean energy. All of this is now in jeopardy. Stick around because you might miss the most shocking shift the world has ever seen. The secret output Elon overlooked. Africa is producing over 10 million vehicles a year, and no one in Silicon Valley saw it coming. While American headlines were fixated on union strikes, semiconductor shortages, and Tesla Cybertruck delays, a quiet but massive automotive engine was roaring to life across the African continent. Morocco, South Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana had been building, refining, and exporting vehicles at a scale that would shock most American and European analysts. Morocco alone became the continent's largest car exporter, shipping out 400,000 vehicles in the year 2023. South Africa's auto sector employed over 100,000 people and contributed more than 4% to its national economic output. And these were not knockdown kits from foreign companies or rebadged imports. These were vehicles designed by Africans, for African conditions, and increasingly, for the world. The African auto surge had little to do with Silicon Valley and everything to do with necessity. While Western factories groaned under the weight of outdated supply chains and political gridlock, Africa built leaner, more flexible systems. Vehicles were being made where the demand existed: rural towns, urban growth corridors, post-conflict regions, and they were designed to last. Tesla, for all its ambition, was never engineered for this scale or this environment. Its growth hinged on production in Shanghai, sales in Europe, and a political lifeline in the United States. Africa's automotive revolution, by contrast, was entirely self-generated, a massive untelevised assembly line stretching from Cape Town to Casablanca. And what made these cars even more dangerous to Tesla? They were not built for highways, they were built for war zones. But before I go any further, I want to remind you to subscribe to the channel. It's really easy and free and only takes a second. Just do it. Thanks. Why African cars survive. African cars survive where Tesla fails: dust storms, flood zones, roads with no pavement. This is where African engineering thrives, and Tesla does not stand a chance. What makes an African-made car different is not luxury or style, it is survival. The continent's road network includes everything from dense sand tracks and pothole-ridden trails to flood-prone lands and steep mountainous slopes. Standard sedans would last weeks. African-designed vehicles last years, not through digital gimmicks or silicon sensors, but through raw mechanical ingenuity. These vehicles are built with higher ground clearance, stronger suspensions, and dust-resistant components. They are designed to be multi-purpose, used by farmers in the morning, school children in the afternoon, and business owners at night. In rural regions, they might be the only link to a hospital or market. Compare that to Tesla's Model Y or Cybertruck: sleek, beautiful, and brutally impractical. Try charging a Tesla in a village without electricity. Try navigating unpaved hills with a luxury vehicle that was optimized for American suburbs. Tesla's engineering, despite its innovation, was never rugged. It was never flexible, and most importantly, it was never built for human struggle. African automakers knew the terrain because they lived in it. They knew what worked and what broke. They built vehicles that could be fixed with a wrench and wire, not ones requiring certified diagnostic tools and digital keys. Africa's real breakthrough was not durability, it was power beyond the grid. Innovation does not die. Why powerless nations are driving the future? When there is no fuel and no power, innovation does not die, it evolves. In parts of the world where electricity is a given, electric vehicles seem inevitable. In parts of Africa, however, electricity is a dream, and fuel is a luxury. There are villages where blackouts last weeks. There are communities where a gallon of gas costs more than a day's labor. In such places, the question is not whether to go electric, it is whether people can afford to move at all. That is what makes Africa's innovation so radical. It is not just about green tech, it is about survival. In Kenya, geothermal energy is powering EV charging hubs. In Uganda, solar buses are hitting the streets. In Nigeria, Biofuel engines are being tested with cassava extract, and in Zimbabwe, a man is building a car that powers itself. The continent has skipped the fossil fuel detour. Instead of waiting for pipelines, gas stations, and charging ports to arrive, Africa is designing mobility solutions that work without them. This is not the 21st century version of catching up. This is something else entirely. It is the creation of a post-infrastructure transportation system. Where the West spent a century laying concrete, Africa is finding invisible energy. Where Silicon Valley built walled gardens of proprietary tech, African inventors are sharing designs with universities, local suppliers, and community garages. Where the world sees impossibility, Africa sees inevitability. And when countries joined the cause, this innovation went from survival to supremacy. Morocco's export empire is crushing American hopes. 2 decades ago, Morocco didn't even register on the global automotive radar. Today it stands as the single largest car exporter on the African continent. And here's the twist, almost none of those vehicles are headed for American roads. In an era where the United States clings to its position as a manufacturing powerhouse, Morocco has quietly built an empire, exporting over 400,000 vehicles to Europe in just 1 calendar year. And that surge wasn't luck, it was the result of meticulous planning, foreign investment, and a national strategy laser-focused on becoming the North African Detroit. The foundation of Morocco's auto boom is rooted in partnerships with global giants like Renault and Stellantis. These aren't simple assembly deals, these are strategic collaborations that built a local workforce, scaled supply chains, and embedded global engineering expertise into Moroccan soil. Factories in Tangier and Casablanca are now churning out vehicles at a pace that stuns traditional industry players. The key? Morocco figured out how to build at scale without surrendering control. While the United States struggles with reshoring efforts and rising labor costs, Morocco is exporting to France, Spain, and Germany, dominating mid-tier auto categories without much noise. What makes it even more disruptive is how aligned Morocco's cars are with European demands: affordable, efficient, and emission-friendly. Meanwhile, the American market remains largely out of reach, not due to lack of capability, but because Morocco is bypassing it altogether. This isn't just a win for Morocco, it's a direct challenge to the American auto hegemony, and by extension, to Tesla's grip on global EV dominance. Yet Morocco is only one piece of the puzzle. South Africa's automotive lifeline, Africa's automotive lifeline, is more than jobs. In South Africa, a factory isn't merely a place of work, it's a second home, a survival plan, and a pipeline for generational change. Over 100,000 South Africans are employed directly by the automotive sector, and when you account for suppliers and logistics, that number balloons dramatically. These jobs aren't confined to sprawling industrial zones. They stretch across towns and villages, touching nearly every layer of the economy. For many families, this is their only shot at upward mobility. The South African government understood early on that car manufacturing wasn't just about exports. It was about anchoring an entire social contract. Plants like those in Pretoria and Port Elizabeth produce vehicles under global brands: Toyota, BMW, Volkswagen, but the workforce is homegrown, the skills are local, and the pride is unmistakable. The industry contributes 4.3% to the national gross domestic product, but its emotional footprint runs deeper. It's not unusual to find 3 generations of the same family working under the same roof, each role more skilled than the last. These aren't just assembly lines, they're proving grounds, and they're sending a message. Africa doesn't just want jobs, it wants ownership. Tesla's automation-heavy, union-light production model stands in sharp contrast to South Africa's human-centric approach. One relies on scale, the other relies on roots. And as Tesla races to outsource labor to cheaper and more isolated environments, South Africa is turning factories into lifelines for communities. Just beyond South Africa's borders, something even more ambitious was taking shape. Ghana and Nigeria's rise, local cars, local dreams. In Nigeria and Ghana, the revolution isn't happening behind closed boardroom doors. It's unfolding in open-air workshops, crowded garages, and freshly paved industrial parks. This isn't about foreign brands staking claims. It's about local dreamers reshaping national identity. The Konka vehicles of Ghana and Innocent Motors of Nigeria are not just assembling imported parts, they're creating African vehicles for African people. Konka is best known for its rugged sport utility vehicles tailored for rural terrain, while Innocent is delivering affordable transport solutions across Nigeria's fractured road networks. These companies are not just building cars, They are symbols of a future where African mobility isn't dictated by import policies, but by local ambition. More than machines, these vehicles carry the hopes of nations ready to unshackle themselves from global dependence. In both countries, car ownership was long viewed as a luxury few could afford. Now, thanks to local manufacturing, it's becoming a possibility for the middle class. That transformation isn't just economic, it's emotional. It's the dignity of a parent driving their children to school in a car made on their own soil. It's the pride of mechanics knowing they helped build something from scratch. Tesla, on the other hand, represents a different kind of dream, one that ships in tech rather than growing it. In Ghana and Nigeria, the dream is stitched into the very fabric of the land, and that's what makes it unshakable. What ties these countries together isn't just vision, it's how they're building it. The supply chain web that leaves Tesla out? Tesla thrives on vertically integrated systems. It designs, builds, and delivers with clockwork precision. But Africa's model flips that on its head. Across the continent, automakers aren't centralizing, they're decentralizing. They're building ecosystems, and the result is a supply chain web so deeply woven into local economies that global brands can't compete. Steel is smelted in Kenyan mills, tires are molded in Egyptian factories, upholstery is stitched in Lagos workshops. Every nut and bolt, every seat and circuit, tells the story of a continent reclaiming control. These aren't imported parts repackaged for showrooms, they're homegrown components supporting tens of thousands of small businesses. That model comes with its challenges, logistics, regulation, and standardization, but it comes with unmatched resilience. When a shipment from China is delayed, a local workshop steps in. When a European supplier falters, African entrepreneurs adapt, and the wealth spreads. One upholstery shop in Nigeria might support an entire neighborhood. One tire factory in Cairo might put 20 families through school. Tesla's global dominance depends on exclusive access to parts, batteries, and tech. Africa's revolution, in contrast, thrives on inclusion. It invites the village, the technician, the welder, the dreamer, and this supply chain doesn't just power factories, it powers lives. While Tesla consolidates, Africa connects, and that difference is what makes the coming confrontation inevitable. Is the West ready for radio-powered cars? Western scientists are calling it impossible. Thank you for watching. As we continue to witness the rise of African automotive innovation, it's clear that the landscape of the global car industry is shifting. With countries like Morocco, South Africa, Ghana, and Nigeria leading the charge, Africa is not just participating in the future of mobility, it's shaping it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned for more insights into the world of automotive transformation.